When we think about the Civil War, we usually picture cannon smoke and men in blue and gray uniforms charging across open fields. But what if I told you that some of the most daring warriors of that war never carried rifles at all? And many of them were not even men. The story of the Civil War has been told for more than a century, but there is a missing piece. Women. They were told to stay home. To remain silent. To wait for the men to fight. But the war changed everything. Ordinary women became extraordinary in ways that history rarely remembers. Some disguised themselves as soldiers. Some became spies. Some served as nurses on battlefields where even hardened men could not stomach the sights. Others kept farms alive, families together, and communities standing while everything around them collapsed. Imagine a young woman sewing late at night, not just stitching clothes but hiding coded maps inside her skirt. Imagine another pulling her hair under a cap, lowering her voice, and walking straight into battle as if she had been born to fight. These are not legends. These were real people who risked everything. And what is even more shocking is how much their stories have been erased. Without them, the war may have looked very different. This hidden battlefield of women was as crucial as the one drenched in gunpowder and blood. Now let me ask you this. What if the soldier marching right beside you, bleeding and fighting for survival, was not who you thought at all? During the Civil War, dozens of women disguised themselves as men and enlisted. They cut their hair short. They wrapped their bodies tightly. They chose new names like Franklin Thompson or Harry Buford, and they disappeared into the ranks of the army. Why would they take such risks? Some wanted adventure. Some refused to be left behind when their husbands or brothers went off to fight. And others believed so strongly in the cause that they could not stay home and watch. One of the most remarkable stories is of Sarah Emma Edmonds, who served in the Union Army as Franklin Thompson. She fought in battles, marched through mud and hunger, and even became a spy. She used disguises to gather intelligence, slipping behind enemy lines with a new identity each time. Every single mission carried the risk of certain death if she was discovered. There was also Loretta Janetta Velasquez, who disguised herself as Harry Buford and fought for the Confederacy. Some women were only exposed when they were injured and doctors discovered the truth. You can imagine the shock of soldiers who suddenly realized the comrade they had trusted with their life was actually a woman. These women risked more than bullets. In the 19th century, being exposed could mean disgrace, imprisonment, or worse. And yet they marched forward into battle because something inside them told them they had no other choice. The war was not only fought with rifles and bayonets. Sometimes the deadliest weapon was silence. Secrets. Whispers that passed from hand to hand. And women mastered this battlefield. Rose O'Neal Greenough was a famous Washington socialite who used her charm to gather secrets for the Confederacy. She passed on intelligence that helped shape the first Battle of Bull Run. Even when she was arrested, she kept smuggling messages written in tiny codes. Then there was Harriet Tubman. Most of us know her as the woman who led enslaved people to freedom on the Underground Railroad. But during the Civil War, she worked as a Union spy and even led a raid that freed more than 700 enslaved men, women, and children. Countless other women are lost to history, but their acts were just as daring. A map stitched into a quilt. A letter hidden inside a basket of eggs. A coded message tucked in a child's toy. Each of these acts could have cost them their lives. Wars are not only won by those who fight in the open. They are also won by those who stay unnoticed. By women who turn the fact that men underestimated them into their greatest advantage. Not all women disguised themselves or carried secrets. Thousands risked their lives in another way. They became healers and nurses on the blood-soaked fields of battle. Clara Barton walked among the dead and the dying, tending to wounds and offering comfort when there was little hope. She would later go on to found the American Red Cross. Dorothea Dix organized one of the first nursing corps in American history, bringing order to chaos and discipline to compassion. These women witnessed horrors that most men could not face. They held the hands of soldiers as they took their last breaths. They wrote final letters home. They fought disease and infection as fiercely as generals fought battles. Beyond the battlefields, women also kept families alive. They ran farms when their husbands were gone. They built aid societies to gather food and supplies. They endured hunger, grief, and fear with a resilience that history has too often ignored. When the war ended in 1865, their sacrifices did not disappear. These women had changed the image of what a woman could be. They had stepped out of the narrow roles society tried to confine them in, and they had proved themselves as brave, resourceful, and unbreakable as any soldier. Their legacy is a reminder that courage is not about uniforms or titles. It is about sacrifice. The Civil War is remembered as a struggle between armies. But the truth is, it was also a struggle carried by women whose names we rarely hear. Women who risked everything in silence, in disguise, or in service. So now I want to ask you, which of these forgotten women surprised you the most? And do you think history has done justice to their stories? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more hidden chapters of history brought to light, make sure to subscribe, because we are only just beginning to uncover the past that was never meant to be forgotten.